The greatest motorcycle racers in the world have come to Vegas to lay it all on the line. It's a full-throttle, high-stakes, two-night battle for the richest purse in Supercross. The Rockstar Energy Drink U.S. Open starts right now on CBS. For the 12th consecutive year, Supercross has come to Las Vegas. Welcome to the Rockstar Energy Drink U.S. Open. Since 1998, an October trip to Las Vegas has been on the to-do list for the world's finest Supercross competitors. The U.S. Open has always provided an opportunity for riders to shine in front of sellout crowds and compete for the largest single weekend purse in two-wheel racing. Its unique place on the racing calendar guarantees a 5-star field when the gate drops on the 2009 version of this all-star Supercross.
It's a fun race for me. It's it's fun. It's small, and it's something exciting. Just to start the year off with, and you do good, you do bad. It doesn't really affect your positive thinking or anything like that. Your confidence, because you're like, well, I have 2 more months to pick my pace back up, to get in better shape, and to do what I need to do to go into Anaheim 1. But for me, I've been wanting to do it since 2004. But I'm just really looking forward to it, just to see where I'm at, and to go from there.
It's definitely something different. It's like you said, the stadium is so small, and it is one of the richest races of Supercross, and so that's something cool. And then all the other stuff they just throw in there for for the fans, like all the exhibition stuff they have this year, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm yet to experience it, so we'll see how it is, and I'm looking forward to it.
I think everybody here is on the same page. You want to race. You don't want to do anything stupid to jeopardize the season. And I'm glad Ryan's here. I'm glad Davey's here. I'm excited to see Yogi. I haven't seen him. I don't think I've ever raced him. So I think that's going to be fun. So it should be a good night.
The sport's greatest names have raced on the floor of the Grand Garden Arena with mixed results. The king of Supercross, Jeremy McGrath, never won the Open, but Ricky Carmichael earned 3 Open wins before retiring. The defending race champion has grown up before our eyes at the U.S. Open. James Stewart won the mini race at the MGM in 1999 before capturing 2 wins in the Premier class in 2006 and 2008. All you have to do is wander into the sportsbook at the MGM to see that Stewart returns to Vegas as the favorite to take home the $100,000 top prize. Two nights of racing highlight the Mastercraft race format. The rider with the most points at the end of the second night of racing will be crowned champion. To get to the points-paying main events, the riders must qualify through a series of heat, semi, and last chance races that will give us our 14-rider main event. When we come back, it's time to meet the guys that will call tonight's race. Jason Weigandt and Jim Holley, plus Erin Bates takes a look at the fastest man on the planet, Yamaha's James Stewart. The CBS Sports Spectacular Rockstar Energy Drink U.S. Open is sponsored by Rockstar Energy Drink, party like a rock star, and by Yamaha. Nobody's more in tune with motorsports than Yamaha.
We do it like this.
Since the inaugural event back in 1998, the U.S. Open has been the scene of some heroic rides. Damon Huffman won that 1st event, besting Jeremy McGrath and Ryan Hughes over the 2 nights of racing. When the riders returned the following fall, the upsets continued. Jeff Emig came to Vegas a decorated former Supercross champ. But Emig was not the man to beat in that 1999 Open.
In 1999, when I won the U.S. Open, for me personally, that was a really big race because of everything that had transpired that summer and me losing my ride, with Cowie and switching bikes. And for me personally, I was going through a lot of changes in my life, and it was one of those moments in time where you just needed to have something special happen, and my attitude was right, and I was just so focused. It's like there was no way that I was going to walk away from here without taking that trophy with me.
2002 would see a Supercross Ironman get his due in the glitz and glamour of Vegas. Mike LaRocco would outlast the competition on his way to the U.S. Open crown. Iron Mike epitomized the working man, and 7 years ago, the working man hit it big in Sin City. Grant Langston had been an accomplished World Championship rider and a former SX Lights titleist. The always difficult racetrack took its toll, and the likable South African took home an unexpected victory. Langston became the 7th different rider to win the Open.
It was very memorable just because I didn't know I had won. I saw the highlight reel when I crossed the finish line. I didn't even do a whip or a one hand or nothing because I just thought all the guys went down the first turn, and I thought, well, I'm pretty sure I'll be on the podium, but I was thinking probably second or third. So we're down by the podium, and I'm standing there, and someone goes, I think you won. I'm like, wow, well, that's a cherry on the top. I'd come off a great outdoor season, then coming in a U.S. Open. Didn't come in with a lot of expectations. I wanted to obviously be on the podium, but to walk away winning, I thought, man, this turned out great. It was a perfect end of the season, and it was kind of cool because it was just such a unique situation, not knowing and then getting told. It's like, it's like getting a great Christmas present. It was a great surprise.
These 4 riders came to Vegas and lived the dream. They overcame the odds and carved their names into the record book as champions. Later in the show, we'll take a look at some of the great riders that have dominated the U.S. Open through the years, including the unstoppable James Stewart.
You can talk all you want, but my skin is really thick. I'm the leader of the crowd, and my game is really slick. I'm unstoppable, 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 unstoppable. You can talk all you want, but my skin is...
Two-time Supercross champion and 2-time World Supercross champion James Stewart grew up racing aboard a Kawasaki. Last year, he made the move over to the San Manuel Yamaha. This year, he shows up to the U.S. Open with a lightning-fast 2010 model. He won here in 2006 and again in 2008, and ever since James Stewart and team manager Larry Brooks joined forces, they're a powerful combination.
Well, Larry Brooks is a great team manager because his attitude towards racing. He was a racer, so it was real easy for him to understand when I'm talking about, hey, man, you get an arm pump or, the track's slippery. He raced, so he understands, and he's not a cookie pusher team manager. And I think Larry really cares about the people he has around him. He cares about his team, and the guy do everything for you. He'll bust through walls and, run over people to try to make sure his team is good. And I think, every team manager has it, but Larry Brooks is the #1 guy in our sport as far as having a team manager. And I think it's awesome. He's been a pleasure to work with. For us, that's why our team has been so successful. I think 3 years, 2 championships, so it's pretty good.
James Stewart is the man on the top step of the podium.
I think that he's really worked hard at being the best, and obviously he's had issues in the past of falling down and whatnot. And, I think time kind of healed that, with him working on different things and working on those sensitive areas, we'll call them, And James, now he's really been a tough rider to beat. Even like on his bad days, he's still a very fast rider.
Well, my relationship with mechanics, I got 2 mechanics, Paul and Oscar. They're great guys. They're completely different. Paul is real laid back, just very honest. He knows a lot about racing. And Oscar, he's he's outgoing. He's a funny guy, and they're both good at what they do. And it's pretty cool to see 2 mechanics work together like that. They trust each other. And can you imagine going to the gate for Vegas Supercross and thinking that the other guy make sure he tightened the chain and did all that? And those guys never question each other, so it's a great combo.
The whole team is really close. You know, it's more than just me and James, like, because we're two mechanics, it's me and Paul. And then even with a suspension guy, manager Larry, you know, everybody is working together. So it's a really tight group and everybody's helping out. During the races, like when he goes down to the line and stuff, he don't really want to talk because he's focused and he knows what to do, you know. I can't tell him how to go faster in the back. You know, if I could, I'd be racing.
Well, looking back at the 2009 Supercross Championship, I was able to come back from a deficit and win that thing. You know, it was tough and went down to the last race and was able to win it. For me, it was probably the most proudest moment in my career, just because of all the controversy and all the rehab of trying to come back. You know, it was really tough for me and, you know, the team and everybody. But so it's #1 in our books for sure. Just want to have fun and leave a mark. Even if I retired right now, I think my mark has been left. You know, bringing black people in the sport. You know, just open up different avenues. I've done things, you know, like a reality TV show and, you know, commercials and, you know, bringing all these different sponsors in that, you know, nobody's has in the past. And I think right there alone is shown what I've gave to the sport, and I think it's only getting bigger.
James Stewart comes into tonight looking for his 3rd U.S. Open victory, which means he would tie Ricky Carmichael. There's a lot of fans here that are enjoying James Stewart, obviously a fan favorite. What is your perspective on what's going to take place tonight?
Well, I'm looking forward to see James really do great on the Yamaha. I'm always a Team Blue guy, and I love Vegas.
What is it that you love about James so much?
He's fast.
I don't think anybody can dispute that. You're a youngster from the sidelines taking a look. What do you think?
I think James is really great, but I got to give it to Ricky Carmichael. But if he can beat him, he can beat him.
Those two have gone head-to-head many a times. But for more on tonight's action, let's go to Jason Weigandt and Jim Holley.
Well, thanks, Erin. Down here at the calm before the storm. James Stewart is the obvious favorite coming into this race. He won it last year. He's also the Supercross Series champ. But you've got to take on Lady Luck when you come to Vegas. And you never know what's going to happen, especially when you have 2 nights of racing.
Well, the thing that's the most difficult you got to take on is the track. You got to remember, Friday night is one track, Saturday night's another one. You know, traditionally here at the U.S. Open, they got to put a lot of water in the track in practice. It's real greasy out there, muddy, hard for the guys to hit some of their lines. But it comes in during that main event. It comes in hard, and I'm talking about a blue groove sometimes in that main event.
And Stewart really doesn't even know who he's going to be facing. You never know who's going to show up for this race at the last second, and we do have a late entry who certainly should have the speed to challenge Stewart for some wins.
Yeah, you mentioned that guy. It's Ryan Villopoto. I mean, that's the guy that was unexpected to be here. You know, he said, hey, I want to come out here. I want to race. Davey Millsaps, there's another guy. And then one of the guys from Australia, Daniel Reardon. You got to remember that Daniel Reardon comes from Australia. He rides a 450 down in Australia, and their Supercross series down there is a lot like the MGM Grand Garden, tight and physical down there. It's going to get good.
And one of the unique elements of this event, every year they change the format just to mix it up for the fans and for the riders. This year we're going to introduce one-on-one racing, a mechanics challenge, and an additional point for scoring the whole shot. That's 3 additional points beyond just the main event finish on the line, and that can affect where the $100,000 goes at the end of the weekend.
Yeah, you know, that's interesting too, because of the fact that, you know, not only you as a rider, but now your mechanic can help you get 1 point. And, you know, as a rider, you got to go head-to-head against the other guy, and you know what, you got to get that whole shot. So that could play a big factor in, you know, we've seen in the past, and I got to go back a couple years ago, Grant Langston actually won the $100,000. Chad Reed was in line. They had a big crash going in. Timmy, in the first turn, Timmy Ferry was involved in that. But, you know, we were adding the points up ourselves, and, you know, there was a couple points difference. So that could play a big factor in tonight's racing.
So we're going to change the track. We're going to change the format. We're going to change the competitors. But the one thing we won't change, it's Vegas. It's a good time. It's going to be an awesome weekend of racing. Let's get to it.
When we return on CBS, highlights from the first night of racing at the MGM. Our cameras take you behind the scenes to the star-studded VIP lounge here at the Rockstar Energy Drink U.S. Open.
It's Mike Mason, a world freestyle motocross champion. Mike, you've got a lot on the go. Tell us about your new venture, Nuclear Cowboys.
Yeah, it's going to be a 14-stop tour here in the States starting, I think, right around the 1st of January. And it's cool, you know, wintertime's so slow for us without no contests are going on. It's going to be good to travel around, get all our buddies together, and have some fun.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard. Come back tonight. Yeah, it's hard. Come back tonight. Yes, later.
What brings you here to the U.S. Open, and what makes this event so prestigious?
This event's cool. It's, you know, it's a racing event, 2-night little combo deal, and you know, for any fan, that's cool to have like a 2-night winner, and for us, we get to jump at it now, and I like that. You know, it's usually I'm kind of sitting in the stands and vision's a little blurry. I don't know what's going on, but now I'm focused, here to put on a good show and watch some good racing. That's all I'm gonna give you.
Later in the show, look for Mike and his pals as the Rockstar Freestyle team takes to the air above the Grand Garden Arena. A capacity crowd and dangerous racetrack greeted the riders as they came to the gate for night number 1 of racing. Defending race champion James Stewart was the clear favorite to capture his 3rd U.S. Open crown. Let's take a look at the San Manuel highlights. Friday night's 1-to-1 racing gave Rockstar Makita Suzuki's Michael Byrne a reason to grimace early in the evening, and Davey Millsaps and Ryan Villopoto gave fans a reason to cheer in the final 1-to-1 battle of the night.
There they are, the whoops. Millsaps back to the inside. Villopoto with the lead. Millsaps been draped all over it. Millsaps going to triple in and double out of this rhythm lane, but it puts him on the outside, and that allows Villopoto to score it away. Here's Millsaps again on the outside.
Well, let's see that crisscross, and he's going to cover that inside line as they go into 3, and it looks pretty safe for Villopoto, but here comes Millsaps. Watch this, he's going to square back under. Oh, Villopoto hung him up.
Villopoto on the brakes, able to shut Millsaps down and win the head-to-head challenge.
The top 3 riders in each heat would transfer directly to the main event. Ryan Villopoto and James Stewart led the way with very fast heat race victories. Heat 2, on the other hand, was a battle to the finish.
Millsaps makes the move now on Reardon in the whoops, and wisely goes to the inside in the mechanics turn. So Millsaps now in the lead and protecting it.
With 9 riders transferred directly into the main event, their mechanics had the opportunity to earn a bonus point with a win in the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute Mechanics Challenge. A successful tire change and getting his bike to the finish proved no problem for Carlos Rivera. This gave his rider Davey Millsaps an extra point going into the first main event of the weekend. 3 semi-races and 2 LCQs awaited the remaining riders, and only the winner would transfer directly to the main. Chris Blows, Christian Craig, and Matt Bonney would win their respective races. But it was Bonney who had to get down and dirty to make the main.
Bonney carrying a lot of speed into the whoops, trying to get Davenport.
There he goes.
He's got it on the inside of turn 10, and finally Bonney makes
it. And there's Gerke.
Gerke follows up. These guys are going to be glued to each other
they
all
bumped
night.
as they went into that turn number 11 there. He ran into the back of him there, Gerke, and lost a little bit of time.
There were only 2 more spots left in the main event. Moto Concepts Yamaha's Matt Gerke would capture the win in the evening's first last chance qualifier. But the final spot in the main would not be decided until the last turn of the last lap in LCQ number 2.
Here he goes.
Here he goes to the inside. Wade's just going to run it in and push Northern Battle away. Nick Wade takes the lead. That's the U.S. Open, and he's going to put it in the main event.
When the riders came to the line for the 20-lap main event, all eyes were on defending champion James Stewart. Could Stewart become the 3rd rider to win back-to-back U.S. Open titles? After the board went sideways, the field went to work.
Oh, Stewart gets a good jump, but coming away with...
Oh, and Hansen off the track in turn 1. Stewart gets the whole shot.
And he collects 1 point. Dan Reardon right behind him. Matt Gerke, I told you that inside spot was going to work for Matt Gerke. Right behind Gerke, it is going to be the factory Suzuki rider of Michael Byrne, and then the factory Honda rider of Millsaps.
With James Stewart and his Yamaha comfortably out front, the best race on the track was a battle between rookie Christian Craig and 2-time Supercross winner Ryan Villopoto. Villopoto would pressure the young Yamaha rider into a mistake and move his Kawasaki into the top 5. The pass on Craig would be the last positive thing that would happen for Villopoto on this night.
What happened to Villopoto? So the last time around, he had trouble. He went to the mechanics area, and now Ryan Villopoto is driving it back to the Kawasaki rig.
Behind Stewart, a battle for second raged on. Honda's Davey Millsaps charged up to the back tire of Dan Reardon and made the pass on the Australian rider around the halfway point of the race. At the front of the field, the race belonged to Stewart, who was nearly perfect in capturing the night 1 victory. and marking himself as the frontrunner halfway to his third U.S. Open title. A quick look at the Rockstar results shows Yamaha's James Stewart capturing the Night 1 victory. But look out for Honda's Davey Millsaps. His second-place finish puts him in a great position to capture the $100,000 top prize, should Stewart falter. Let's go down trackside to Erin with the winner.
It may have been a while since we've seen James Stewart race, but he definitely has picked up right where he left off. James, this was like a 20-lap sprint. What does it mean for you to come in and do what you did when you've only basically had 2 weeks on your 2010 model?
Well, yeah, you know, it just shows how good the motorcycle is. I'm stoked, and it's hard because you really can't see all the great features about it on this track, but, I mean, if I'm not lay off, I didn't see any rust, did you?
Still to come from Las Vegas, the return of Ezra Lusk, and meet real-life rock star Daniel Blair. The Rockstar Energy Drink U.S. Open will return after this message and a word from your local station. When driving at the 2009 Rockstar Energy Drink U.S. Open, motorcycle riders are certainly used to being in the spotlight. $1-million salaries, legions of fans, and an opening ceremonies that brings a concert-like intensity. But only Kawasaki privateer Daniel Blair knows what it is really like to be a rock star.
It actually started with my brother. He got hurt when he was about 14 years old, picked up a guitar, started listening to the radio and just kind of playing along, and we never really thought anything of it, and I noticed, like, man, he's getting a little better, and then I remember one day I came out in the garage and he was playing like a really cool riff, and I was like, wow, what song is that? He's like, well, that's mine. I was like, you writing your own stuff now? And then it kind of went from there, and then I've always been kind of like a closet singer, like, you know, I would sing in the shower or in the car when I'm by myself, and my brother knew, obviously, so he was like, let's write some songs just for fun. And we did, and a lot of our friends and family, they all really liked him. They said, you guys need to go in the studio. We went in the studio, did a little demo, and then the next thing we knew, we were playing shows, had a full band, and then we were playing in Europe and on Warped Tour. It was like, I mean, we never even really thought it was going to do anything like that. It was more just for fun, and then it kind of jumped into something real. To balance the two, the racing and the music, it's pretty difficult just because, I mean, in order to be successful, you have to give a lot. And to do two things that take a lot of attention, a lot of time, it's hard, but it's just managing the days and making sure that things get done when they need to. You know, I get up early and do my training and then go over to my brothers, we'll write music. We just got to really manage it the best we can, and it's really hard because I really care about both of them a lot. I do feel sometimes like they take away from each other sometimes, but I've been doing it now enough that I've learned to manage it good enough to where I can get both of them done. My racing background influences me a lot. I mean, they kind of influence each other. When I write my music, I like to write about things that I've experienced in my life, and racing's been my life, my whole life. I write a lot of my lyrics based on my experiences, and then with racing, I want to play music that gets me fired up, so, you know, I always listen to stuff that helps me get motivated to race. So they kind of work hand in hand, and they definitely feed off each other, and it's made things interesting for a lot of people, too. A lot of our friends really, they can see the connection. Being a privateer is tough. We don't have as many resources as the factory teams. We don't have as much of a budget. We don't have the opportunity to test as much, and obviously, we end up having to spend a little bit of our own money, but it's not as bad as people think. I've been doing this a long time, and last year I was able to ride for a factory team half the year and then be a privateer for half the year, and I got to really see the difference firsthand. There are challenges, but you can overcome them, and when it comes down to it, it's really on the rider. You can work through the challenges, and you can still get the results that you want being a privateer. Just got to work a little harder. All that matters to me is that when the gate drops, who's prepared the most, and I don't feel secondary to them in that category. Maybe on the surface, some stuff that people see from the outside, but deep down, I don't feel that at all.
While Daniel Blair brings a unique passion and perspective to the track, Georgia's Ezra Lusk came out to the U.S. Open looking to recapture the speed he once showed in becoming a 12-time Supercross winner. After 5 years on the sidelines, the former SX Lights champion chose the U.S. Open to return to the sport he loves.
There were several reasons really why. Just had a long year, had a long career up until that point. Had a couple of injuries that year in 2004. One being at Salt Lake City, there at the end of the Supercross season. It took me a good while to heal up from that. And then at the end of that year, my brother got hurt real bad. So we just decided to spend some time with him and have some family time. And that's really why I walked away. I decided to come back now just because, I wanted to. I felt like it was time for me to race again. Really just to see this weekend at the U.S. Open if I want to really go farther with it. And if I feel like I want to go and commit myself to a full year or at least half a year. There was no thought, no moment, no feeling of anything when I wanted to come back. It was just basically just built up over time. A lot of riding. I've never been really one to not want to ride a lot, not want to train and do that kind of stuff because I just do it just for fun. I was riding a lot, training a little bit with some guys back home, and then, the thought that was like, well, maybe if I keep going this route, maybe I should do a race, here or there, and just for fun. And when the opportunity came up for me to do the U.S. Open and just kind of see how I felt about it, and after the weekend, if I really wanted to keep going, I think that was a good opportunity for me to make that decision.
And puts a nice block pass on speed.
I've been riding more on arena cross style tracks. I've been doing more tight stuff, cutting the Supercross track in half kind of things, just hopefully getting prepared for this real tight stuff. That's basically it. Training wise, same as I've always been doing. There's more to life than racing motorcycles. First of all, family's super important, which I knew that and was realizing that there at the end of my racing career to begin with. Things are just a lot more important. A lot of the little stuff just doesn't matter anymore. Just kind of look over things and just realize, that you really blew things out of proportion at points, and just really becoming a man, becoming a husband, becoming a father is huge. I would be crazy not to expect out of the U.S. Open to come out with some experience. I really want to try to make the main event. Obviously, it's tough. There's a lot of good guys, but I got to get out there and try to get good starts and get into the main event. That's my first goal. And then probably reevaluate it in between the heats and the main event if I'm in there and try to maybe set a different goal.
After his Night 1 win, James Stewart looks to make it 2 in a row and cash the big $100,000 check. When we come back, his quest begins. Night 2 race action from the Rockstar Energy Drink U.S. Open. The U.S. Open has long been the most unique event on the Supercross calendar. 2 nights of racing on 2 completely different track designs challenged the world's best dirt bike racers. Rockstar Makita Suzuki's Michael Byrne takes us around the track, from gate drop to checkered flag.
Hi guys, I'm Michael Byrne. We're here at the Rockstar Energy Drink U.S. Open. It's Saturday morning. I'm about to check out the track. It's one great thing about this race. Both nights of racing, new track each night, new challenges for the riders. So let's go check it out. Here in the first turn, if you ask any one of the riders who are on the starting line for this race, this is the most important part of the race. You need to be in the top 2 or 3 around this corner to have any shot at getting on the podium. This is the whoop section. In my mind, this is a very important place to make up some ground on another rider. The track is so tight, these things get really hard and slick. If you get a good drive, you can make a pass at the end. This is the rhythm section. A lot of the riders on track walk will try and figure out which is the best option for them. There's usually a couple different ways to do it. You got to get that figured out in practice, see what you're most comfortable with, and what you can do for 20 laps. Outside the stadium here, you can see there's a big 180 turn. A lot of block passing happens in this turn, but after that, you come back into the tunnel, back into the stadium. It's very, very tight. Maybe only 8-9 feet wide here. It's kind of very hard to pass. You have to just try and stay on single file through here until you get back inside. Last night there was a whoop section here. Tonight, no whoops. This should open up the track a little bit, make it a little bit faster. Maybe we'll get too wide in here. Should make for a good 20-lap final. Hope you guys enjoy it.
The night's racing program once again began with the popular one-to-one racing. The winner of each individual match race would earn 1 point toward their weekend total. It was evident early on that the intensity on night 2 had stepped up a notch. The top 3 riders in each heat would qualify directly to the main event and be eligible to earn an extra point in the Mechanics Challenge. Kawasaki's Ryan Villopoto dominated Heat 1, leading Josh Hansen and Nick Way into the main event.
It's been a long time that we've raced Supercross, and I'm sure everybody's looking for a good show with James.
Honda's Dan Reardon continued his impressive run at the Open with a Heat 2 victory. But the passionate crowd got a chance to rise to their feet when number 11, Ezra Lusk, made a bid for 3rd place and a direct transfer to the main event.
Up to the inside, getting aggressive, and puts a nice block pass on Slater.
Predictably, Heat 3 was the James Stewart show, but it was not smooth sailing for all of the pre-race favorites. Red Bull Honda's Davey Millsaps had to mount a late charge to earn his way directly into the points-paying main event. Millsaps' 3rd place finish also earned his mechanic, Carlos Rivera, a chance to defend his Night 1 victory in the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute Mechanics Challenge. Don't go anywhere. There's still a lot more to come from the 2009 Rockstar Energy Drink U.S. Open.
I got a feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. I feel it. That tonight's gonna be a good night.
For the riders and teams that have come to Vegas to compete in the Rockstar Energy Drink U.S. Open, there is something thrilling and different about racing in Vegas.
It's cool to see people come up in tuxedos and suits to come watch a race because we're here in Vegas.
I kind of compare it to like a golf tournament, a U.S. Open golf tournament or the U.S. Open tennis tournament.
I mean, it's the initial Supercross, really. For most of us, it's like just a fun race.
It's the highest paid race this season, too. It's the beginning of the whole season that's coming up in 2010.
That's something cool. It's got a lot of hype around it, and I've never personally raced it, so I don't know what to expect or how it is to ride a 450 in that small stadium.
It's one of the most enjoyable races just because you don't have that much pressure. You can just kind of come out and have a good time.
Since it's a Rockstar deal, and I've been with them for a long time, and I really wanted to come and show my appreciation to them.
First of all, it's 2 nights of racing, so that's unique right there. You're kind of tired the second night, so it's just different and it's hard on the body.
The track's really tight. They make it so it's really exciting to where there's usually some good racing and some aggressive racing. And
we go outside, come back in.
There's a lot of money on the line. Nobody can deny that, and everybody shows up.
It's a big win because a lot of guys are really looking forward to come race the race to say they're the U.S. Open champ.
So you can watch the race, win money on your favorite rider, and go gamble on a blackjack table.
The last time Kawasaki's Ryan Villopoto raced in Nevada, he defeated James Stewart and Chad Reed in capturing his 2nd career Supercross race victory. No wonder the 3-time Motocross Lights champion decided at the last moment to return from injury and pursue a U.S. Open championship.
My body's good. Had some time off, so I'm definitely recovered and ready to start racing. My knee surgery went well and been riding 2 weeks and everything's good. I'm fresh and ready. You know, you have to compete regardless of what it is, you know, hurt, injured, sick, whatever. You know, you got to compete unless you really can't. You know, broken bone or other stuff like that. But for me, it was like I was sick, but, you know, I could still ride, and you know, I had to, you know, go out there and at least try, and finally got to a point where it was too bad and, you know, call it for a while. My rookie season was rough at the beginning, and then I turned it around, and, you know, I'd gotten sick right there in the middle and missed quite a few races, I think 3 or 4 races, and then came back and won Seattle, my first race back, and then there was only a few races left and won Vegas. So I learned a lot. You know, it was a learning year for me, just figuring out how the class is, racing different people, and racing the 450. The 450 was a big change. Me and Cowie and the team, I think, is, you know, I came up on from 80s all the way up, rode for Mitch, and I think everybody on the team gets along well. I get along well with everybody on the team. They're definitely all team players. They all want to win, and you know, as well for me, I want to win too. So everything's good. You know, I think they run their team really well. They have great people in it to have things really organized, and it flows really well. Everybody's a team. You know, it's not broke up. You know? How do you race and beat James Stewart? It's tough. It's just basically getting everything perfect and good starts and being there to race with them and not letting them run away with it. You know, if they get a lead, then it's super hard to catch them.
After the riders take the checkered flag of another spectacular U.S. Open, their attention will turn to the 2010 Supercross season. Early races in California once again pepper the schedule. Races in Atlanta, Toronto, and the return to the Dallas area at the new Cowboy Stadium in February and March mark an intriguing mid-season schedule. The series wraps up in May right back here in Las Vegas with the finale at Sam Boyd Stadium. To get your tickets to any of the Supercross events, go to www.supercrossonline.com. Still to come, full coverage of the main event. But up next, Erin talks with Motocross of Nations champion Ryan Dungey when the Rockstar Energy Drink U.S. Open returns on CBS.
In an economy where
Here in Las Vegas, we're standing up at the Rockstar Energy Drink section. This is where all the VIPs hang out. They mingle. If you're a celebrity, this is where you're at. This is where you come to watch all the action.
It's pretty exciting, actually. There's a bunch of good crowd up here, and it's pretty neat. The lights, all the action, it's just a completely different environment. The course is really tight and technical. You know, I see it can pose some challenges to the riders, but I think it's good for the fans.
Normally I'm racing during the season in my MotoGP season, so this is the first time I've ever been able to come to the U.S. Open in my whole entire life, so I'm actually really happy about it, really happy. I'm cheering for Davey Millsaps tonight.
I raced it 2 years ago, had a great time. Obviously winning the event was a huge bonus, and then not being able to come back since then is obviously a bit of a downer, but you know, I've had some personal issues, you know, with the tumor of the eye and things like that, but it's great seeing everyone out there. I am a little jealous I'm not down there, but next year, as long as I'm able to walk, I'll be out on that racetrack.
The future of Supercross was on display in the Alpine Stars 85cc class. These mighty mites put on quite a show. 12 amateur champions diced it out on the same track their pro heroes were running. Oregon's Chris Aldridge edged Florida's Adam Cianciarillo for the overall title. It won't be long until we see these very talented riders pushing James Stewart for victories at the MGM. Another bonus point was on the line when the top 9 qualifiers from the heats lined up for the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute Mechanics Challenge. Matt Jory earned his rider Chris Blows the extra bonus point by changing his tire and getting to the finish line first. With only the winner transferring out of the semis into LCQs, the stakes were raised for the final 5 qualifying races of the weekend. Yamaha privateer Tyler Bowers took Semi 1 in pretty easy fashion, but Semi 2 would come right down to the end before Team Faith Yamaha's Kevin Johnson would edge Cole Siebler and Matt Gerke for the win. The third and final semi of the night was perhaps the best race of the weekend.
Here's the pass. It's coming. Watch this.
Into the first turn.
There it is. And he knocked him down. Beautiful.
Most of the field would not make it out of the third turn in the first LCQ. That suited Oregon's Tiger Lacey just fine, as he easily qualified for the main event. The second LCQ was the final chance to earn a spot in the main. Both Gerke and Bonnie would go to the mat to see who would qualify.
Watch out for Bonnie. Bonnie's right behind him. Last turn. Bonnie drives it.
Oh, my God! What an incredible race!
The field is finally set for the main event. 14 riders with one dream of taking the checkered flag and the big prize here in Vegas. In 2008, Rockstar Makita Suzuki rider Ryan Dungey earned a podium finish in his first appearance in the Premier class at the U.S. Open. Dungey hoped to compete again in 2009, but sustained a practice injury last month. Despite riding hurt, the 19-year-old became the latest American rider to capture the Peter Chamberlain Trophy as Motocross of Nations champion.
American work, American pay. God almighty, I'm American made.
You can consider it a very successful season for Ryan Dungey after clinching the AMA West Coast Supercross Lights title, the AMA Motocross Lights title, and despite having an injury right before the Motocross of Nations, he comes out with yet another victory. Ryan Dungey, congratulations to you. How exciting was that for you?
It was amazing. You know, it was an experience, you know, I think growing up as a little kid, you always would look forward to. And I'm just, you know, to say that we took it home is an amazing accomplishment, and definitely tops the year off for sure.
Talk about the Motocross of Nations and also your injury that took place right before.
Well, you know, not really many people know, but I had a little get off, you know, nothing major, just kind of question, you know, if I was going to race it or not. So thankfully, got all healed up, took care of that business, and then was able to go to the race and do what we had to do. And thankfully, it turned out great. You know, was able to have 3-1 moto scores, so it turned out good.
Now, you were able to race here at the U.S. Open last year. This year, you're on the sidelines. How disappointing is that for you?
It's disappointing, you know, but the way I look at it is, you know, making this big jump is going to be a big transition for the new year, you know, one that I've always looked forward to. And just, you know, the U.S. Open means a lot, and it's a fun race to be, but sadly just have to skip it this year and get ready for Anaheim in 2010. You know, I think that's the main goal.
Speaking of which, you're going to be making your debut on the 450 for Supercross 2010. What are your expectations for the upcoming season?
Expectations, you know, it'll be the first year, so try to go out there and get some wins, you know, and just get into it, and then, you know, down the road, try to start winning championships. I think that's the goal, but just try to win in races from here on out and do the best we can and learn.
Well, you get to relax a little bit today. What are you going to be doing?
Just going to be hanging out. You know, it's cool to be here in Vegas, but try to, you know, do some autographs and hang out with the fans and chill by the pool.
Well, you go have fun. I'm going to go and make my way over to the pool as well. Maybe you can be my pool boy.
There you go. There you go.
See you later.
See ya.
When the Rockstar Energy Drink U.S. Open continues, Jason and Jim return, and we drop the gate on the main event.
Toyota is rated.
Welcome back to the Grand Garden Arena and the 12th annual Rockstar Energy Drink U.S. Open. You can trace the previous 11 titles to 3 men. It's no surprise these 3 riders have defined the past decade of Supercross in America. Ricky Carmichael leads all riders with 3 U.S. Open titles. RC earned back-to-back championships in 2000 and 2001 while riding for Honda. The GOAT raced his way to title number 3 in 2005 for Suzuki. Chad Reed captured back-to-back victories at the MGM in 2003 and 2004 on his Yamaha. And James Stewart has earned 2 victories in the last 3 years here at the U.S. Open, riding for Kawasaki in 2006 and Yamaha in 2008. These 3 riders are among the greatest Supercross has ever seen. Amid the bright lights and screaming crowd, they rose to the top of the sport. and are now an indelible part of the U.S. Open history.
Time to go racing here. $100,000 on the line for the number one, James Stewart, who won last night, but his rival, Davey Millsaps, lined up right next to him. Millsaps needs to try to edge Stewart out going into turn one and push Stewart back. Let's check out this Rockstar starting grid. These are the riders that are going to do battle. Stewart, the favorite. Look at the man perched on the inside, Ryan Villopoto. Not a factor in the overall. He had a bad night last night, but he has the speed to compete. For more, let's go down to Erin with a pre-race report.
The Australian rider of number 122 of Dan Reardon raced his very first race here in America at the U.S. Open back in 2007. Well, as Lady Luck would have it, he actually took home his very first podium last night, right back here, taking home a third place finish. He said racing here in this tight environment is exactly what he was used to growing up in Australia. In fact, his dad made a 17-hour trek all the way over from Australia to support him this weekend. It looks as though the support paid off last night. We'll see if it continues as soon as this main event gate drops.
That pretty much says it all. It's time for the main event. I like Villopoto on the inside. Now, they did a parade lap a few minutes ago, and Villopoto rocketed out of the gate. A lot of guys choose to roll around in the parade lap. He charged. Villopoto looked determined.
Well, it is a good spot if you get that jump. Remember, last night, Josh Hansen had that same spot. He didn't get the jump. He got pinched out. He hit the tough block and went down, but you know, anything can happen in Villopoto. He's next to, you see right to the right of him, that's going to be Millsaps, and then you saw James Stewart, and then you see the Rockstar gal.
Yeah, they've got to take the focus off of her and look at the 30-second card above her head. When that turns sideways, the revs will begin to climb, and then they'll drop the gate here at the MGM Grand with $100,000 on the line.
Very important for Daniel Reardon to try because he's close in the points. Remember, you get a point for that hole shot. If he can get that, that's going to put him a little bit closer to Davey Millsaps. We'll have to see. The sign sideways now. Here we go. The MGM Grand Garden. It's going to get good.
James Stewart won last night. Can he repeat tonight? He wheelies out of the gate. Gonna get edged out. Reardon gonna lead them into the first turn.
A nice jump for Reardon, and he closed the door. He crosses the stripe. He gets 1 point. Villopoto gonna go early after Reardon. And he tried to make a pass right there, but he just says it's too early in the race. But he actually did. He didn't touch him, but he made the pass, and now he's gonna try to check out. He's gonna redeem himself from last night. He caught a tough block, bent the shift around, couldn't finish the race. But Daniel Reardon put himself in a good position. Stewart, now you see, in that third spot, when he rounded just before he went into the whoops, he was in about 6th spot. He passed 3 guys going through the whoops.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Stewart up to 3rd. He needs to hustle because Villopoto is already beginning to pull away a bit from Reardon, and you saw Millsaps was back there getting tangled up with a couple riders. He is able to move up to the number 5 spot. So they got Stewart in a sandwich right now, and this track is so hard to pass on.
You notice Stewart going to the far left-hand side. Everybody else going to the far right-hand side. That's because he does not want to get collected up. If Reardon makes a mistake and crosses in front of him, it could take out Stewart's front wheel.
Oh, he's close, though.
Yeah, he's trying to pick away right now. He's not following. And remember, this was the same scenario with Chad Reed last year here. He was following Chad Reed, made the mistake landing on the tough block. He doesn't want it. It's tight here. It's not like a normal Supercross where you got a lot of room out there.
Yeah, there's no room for error, and that means the pressure Stewart's applying to Reardon, I think it'd be a good thing if Reardon makes a mistake, but there might not be room for Stewart to get by. Villopoto wants to take advantage of this and pull away. And you see Millsaps not too far back there as well.
No, and Stewart, he's still got a little bit of time. He might try to force the issue. There's that left-hand side. Like I said, it might pay off for him.
Hey,
he's being awful nice to Reardon when he goes in there, but he's trying to, there's that quad into that section there. He comes out, it's a double. They seat hop and do the triple as they make that left-hander. Now they enter into the whoops. They're going to skip on top, and let's see. Reardon was in his way. He couldn't quad just that fight section there before the right-hander up over the finish line now.
So Villopoto really putting the hammer down, getting away from these guys. Now they're in the back. How long does Stewart wait until he gets real aggressive and stops being nice to Reardon?
Well, the thing about it is this is that battle for 2nd spot now, and you mentioned Villopoto checking out. Remember, Villopoto's only been on that bike for 2 weeks since that knee surgery, so Stewart's probably thinking, well, I don't know if he's got a good hard 20 laps in him.
Woo!
Look at Stewart in the whoops.
Unbelievable, and he runs into Reardon. Now, I guess he didn't want to wait much longer. He's going to get aggressive. He's going to try it again to the outside.
Well, and see how he squared it off underneath there? He's just trying to put himself in that position. That was what we call a little love tap. He didn't really go in there and slam him like we've seen earlier in those last
There's that
races.
quad. Stewart quadding into this turn 6, now to the finish line, and he goes underneath Reardon and gets to the corner first. That was it. Stewart waited about 4 laps and said, I got to go. Villopoto's checking out. Now Reardon's going to see the kind of speed that Stewart really has under the hood.
Well, here's the thing with Reardon now. He's got to try to stay with James Stewart because remember, right now he's sitting in the position to take 2nd overall, and that's a big jump in the money. It's $20,000 for 3rd overall. It's $35,000 for 2nd, so he needs to try to stay with Stewart. But look at Villopoto. He's got a big lead right now. He just needs to ride his race and see if number 1 can catch him.
All right, 2 different battles to watch. You got Villopoto leading Stewart. Can Stewart close in on him? You got Millsaps in 4th, trying to catch Reardon to see who'll be 2nd for the weekend. Oh, Stewart making mistakes. Just looks better and better for Ryan Villopoto. Stewart's got to regroup.
Well, sometimes, you know, you'll see James clear that thing cleanly, or you'll see him kind of case it. And when he cases, it's not too bad. He's actually scrubbing a little speed off so he can make that right-hand turn.
All right, there's Villopoto. Does he have endurance? Is he strong enough to hold Stewart at bay for 20 laps? He sure looks good right now. Hard to believe this guy's coming back from reconstructed knee surgery. The way he's riding, it's like he never left. Look at that, perfect tripling into this corner. Now it's going to be a right. All gets a little sideways there, but just like Stewart, a perfect recovery. Can Ryan Villopoto keep it going? Can he hold Stewart off? Stay with us here on CBS. For the Rockstar Energy Drink U.S. Open, MGM Grand Garden Arena in Vegas. Here's your battle. There's the chaser, James Stewart, in the number 2 position on the 1, going after the number 2 of Ryan Villopoto, Jim.
And remember, last time they were in Vegas was May at the finals there. Villopoto comes away with that win. Stewart and Reed, they were going for a championship, and James Stewart says, hey, there's no championship on the line. I want to go up and prove to you that I can come from the back of the pack and pass you. He doesn't want Ryan Villopoto to have any advantage going into Anaheim round 1. Here's that battle now between Davey Millsaps and Michael Byrne. Michael Byrne with the CBS helmet cam there. He's getting us some good shots.
Yeah, now Millsaps, he needs to go after Reardon, but it's tough. On a tight track like this, he knows Byrne. He's a veteran of that Rockstar Suzuki. He can stick a wheel in there. So Millsaps beating the sandwich. He's got Byrne behind him and Reardon in front of him. Millsaps has to get Reardon. That's $15,000 extra if he can pass the Australian who's in front of him. There's Millsaps, there's Byrne.
And the Australian, like you mentioned about Daniel Reardon, doesn't have a ride for next year, the 010 season.
Right.
He's actually getting on a plane going down to race Chad Reed in the Australian series there. So this would be big if he can get 2nd overall. He can carry that confidence down to Australia and maybe hopefully get a ride for the 2010 season. But Michael Byrne, the other Australian, he's not going to let Millsaps get away.
Impressive what a gamer Byrne is. He had a bunch of hard crashes. A week ago, he was racing over in Italy at the Motocross of Nations, hurt himself there, crashed hard in practice yesterday, crashed hard in practice today. But here it is, main event time, and he's riding like he's 100% healthy. Right. And so is James Stewart.
Yeah, now you see Stewart, he's got a sight on Ryan Villopoto now. He knows Villopoto's starting to slow down. The lap times, Villopoto making a few little bobbles there. He's not quite getting across the whoops like James Stewart is. It'll be interesting to see if James Stewart forces that issue with Villopoto and runs it in underneath him.
Well, we're nearing the halfway point. Villopoto triples clean into that corner, but you see Stewart just a little bit faster in that corner, and they both quad in to turn 6. This is the finish line jump where Stewart did some major damage earlier. That's where he passed Dan Reardon. He's just making up little tenths, inches instead of feet, just slowly but surely closing the gap.
Yeah, here we go outside the stadium. It's pretty much one line. I don't think he's going to try anything unless Villopoto makes a little bit of a mistake. They got the left-hander. I like how they rock it out and they jump right over the starting line there, and they come into this first turn here. And notice again, Stewart's not following. He's trying. Now he goes to the far right side, and Villopoto feels that pressure, and he wants to not leave that door open. So it's going to get interesting here in about 30 seconds.
Okay, so here we go. Nearing the halfway mark, Stewart has caught Villopoto. Now, you don't want to make enemies this early. They're all focused on that Supercross series that will begin in Anaheim in January. You don't want to race the guy too hard here. Stewart's got plenty of laps to try to make it happen. Villopoto's not going to make it easy, but they don't want to take each other down and hand the lead over to the Honda boys.
Well, you notice Stewart, when he went out of the stadium, they've been kind of using that wall as a little bit of a berm. He squared it off a little bit there. He got a little close a couple laps earlier. Here he goes to the inside. Now he's setting something up. Villopoto shuts the door on him. We'll see if Stewart can squirt back underneath,
beautiful.
and he does.
Man, great job by Stewart to get traction on the inside where there's no berm. Villopoto comes back.
Boom.
They collide.
There it was.
And Villopoto's going to get the lead back. He's not intimidated by Stewart. Stewart again to the inside, and this time, James Stewart able to control it.
Well, you notice Ryan Villopoto looked to his right-hand side there, and he looked to see, and he saw Stewart there. He goes, if I shut the door, he's going to clean me out. But what a great, what big heart Ryan Villopoto to come back. Just because he's got the #1 plate doesn't mean once he passes you, go back after that guy.
Well, we saw it all the way back in the parade lap before this main event even began. Ryan Villopoto put in a hot lap. He was determined to right the wrongs of racing on Friday night when he bent his shift lever and didn't finish. He wants to measure himself against James Stewart, and the only way to do it is to get out front and try to challenge the guy.
Yeah, look at the big lead they have on Daniel Reardon, who comes back into the stadium there, sitting in that third spot, going around that first turn there. Reardon, he's in a good position. Millsaps hasn't really caught him yet, but we'll see if Daniel Reardon's got enough gas in the tank. You can see Millsaps there. As a rider, when you come out of that corner, you kind of look up and you can kind of judge and see if the next lap he sees Millsaps getting a little closer, he's going to start tighten up there, and Millsaps can see it. And the worst thing you can do, if you're Daniel Reardon, start looking behind you. Millsaps will know, hey, I'm in his head. He's worried about me.
Now, they were in a similar situation last night, and Millsaps was able to run Reardon down, and Millsaps has the push with Byrne behind him. I think Byrne's trying to give us some good footage for that CBS helmet cam as we watch Millsaps bear down on Reardon. So a bunch of different battles to watch. You got these two guys, 4th and 5th, trying to close in on the 3rd place rider, Reardon. Meanwhile, up front, Villopoto trying to keep James Stewart honest. That's what makes this event so fun to watch.
Well, I think what Byrne's trying to do is just follow Millsaps up there, and hopefully Millsaps will go in and do one of those block passes. Both him and Reardon will go down and hand that final podium spot to Michael Byrne, and that'd be great for him if he could get up there, all the adversity he's come over this weekend.
Okay, this is the section where there's a section of whoops and then a quad, and neither rider doing it. That inside line in that corner developed in the heat races today.
It's not a bad line, that inside line. I mean, it's one of those things where if a guy quads and he goes to the outside, you go to the inside, you can look out of the corner out, you can drift up, and that guy's going to have to shut the throttle off, and he won't be able to, jump the finish line jump, and you got a position there. I like that line, and that's interesting that two lines develop in it. You always hear a lot of people say, well, arena cross racing is too tight, it's hard to pass, but we clearly see there's a lot of passing here tonight in the MGM Grand Garden.
Yeah, just ask Stewart and Villopoto, who went back and forth a couple of times in that last exchange. Byrne is right there. Millsaps needs to light the fire, and that has been the book on Millsaps the last couple of years. Great talent and obviously great support with the Honda team. We saw a little bit more aggression from Millsaps on Friday night. We saw aggression in the heat race tonight just to get into the main event. You see Matt Bonney, who came all the way out of the last chance qualifier. He's not intimidated by the big name factory stars in front. He wants to run with Byrne.
He does, and what a way for him to get into that main event. Him in that last chance race, him and Gerke coming together. What a wild finish that was.
Yeah.
And he put in a good ride last night also. That's the top privateer from last year in the Supercross series.
And he's got Rockstar backing too, so he's got a lot of people cheering for him up in the VIP area. Wanted to see Matt Bonney, big tall kid out of Florida, put it to the factory riders. So the tall guys have an advantage in those whoop sections.
And he's taking that whoop section a little bit differently. He's jumping into it as opposed to skimming across the top of him. It's probably starting to get cupped out there, and that's the most comfortable way he feels like getting across. You know how hard it is to seat hop the triple like that? If anybody's been on a motorcycle, it's pretty hard to just commit and do that.
Well, what's difficult on this track, it's so much smaller and tighter than typical Supercross track. You don't have running room. Here's a battle. Tyler Bowers, one of the young riders on the circuit, and one of the old guys, Ezra Lusk, makes the pass.
And that's that turn that I said. If you go to the outside and you can go to the inside like Ezra's got a lot of experience there, and you put a block pass on Bowers. And look, the key is Bowers could not do that finish line jump, and now Ezra's got a little bit of breathing room. He doesn't have to worry about retaliation from Tyler Bowers, and he can focus in on the number 27, Nick Way. What a great ride for Ezra Lusk. What a great story. Hasn't been on a motorcycle in a while. He's been riding but not racing. And come here last night, he rode a little bit tight. Tonight, the key was in the qualifying, he qualified in 5th fastest. So that helped him in those heat races get that good start. Look at Ezra. He's got great form, seat hops, and he's having fun out there. I bet he's got an ear-to-ear grin right now.
Unbelievable. He's a completely different rider than he was last night. He's shaking off the rust, and now he's going after Nick Way. These guys used to battle back in the day. Nick Way's still here, and Ezra Yogi Lusk is back and rubbing tires. And look at Way. He's got to ride defensive, protect those inside lines. He knows Lusk is going to have a spot picked out. Look at Lusk using different lines. No one's been using an inside line there. Lusk He's been studying while he was away from the
watch
track.
Lusk. See, he's kind of going into that spot. When you go into there, you see bump that tough block there. Nick Way starting to dance a little bit, going through the whoops. You got to remember, the shocks are starting to get hot. Tires are starting to wear out now, and we'll see if Ezra Lusk can get a beat on Nick Way here.
Unbelievable what Ezra Lusk has been able to do. Turn back the clock. He's 34 years old, but he has not raced in 5 years. Last night was a struggle. I think a lot of people were thinking, well, hey, it was nice that he tried, but no longer do you have to give him any kind of an excuse. He is riding just as well as the guys up in the front of the pack. You'd think he's been here the entire time.
No, and you know, he went over the finish line jump. You saw him take his left hand off, kind of maybe just to give himself a little stretch his muscles out there. But he's trying to work around Nick Way here. And see here, Nick Way goes to the outside, he goes to the inside. He misses those braking bumps with the front end. And what can you say? There's James Stewart going around Robert Canari there. He's starting to run into a lot of lap traffic. He's got Chris Bloss just ahead of him there. So that's going to be a factor for James Stewart.
Well, he has pulled away now from Villopoto, and you got to feel that Villopoto is feeling the effects of coming back from a knee injury. You got to wonder about the endurance. As for Stewart, he did not race the motocross tour over the summer. He spent his time working on his Supercross game.
Well, what did I tell you about those lapped riders? That's Tiger Lacey's getting ready to lap, and you know, the blue flags, you'll see him out there, and that's letting the guys know that, hey, you're being lapped. Just kind of hold your line and move over. One more lap to go for James Stewart, though.
All right, James Stewart. You knew that Lady Luck was going to be awfully difficult to overcome, and he did get boxed in at the start, but he played it smart. He was smooth as he worked through traffic, and he got in a little bar-banging battle with Ryan Villopoto. He comes out on top of that, and he's headed to a $100,000 bounty, and just as important, major momentum heading into Supercross in 2010 and valuable testing time on that new bike.
Yeah.
How about Lusk? Still fighting for it. He's going to complete his comeback tour. He's probably just as happy as James Stewart, who's headed to victory lane.
He is, and that's going to be back-to-back wins here at the U.S. Open for James Stewart. He's going to go off to France. He's going to go to Italy, and then the other thing, he's going down to Australia to race against Chad Reed on that new Cowie.
He's going to find the competition. James Stewart wins the Rockstar Energy Drink U.S. Open. And battling back there, you see Millsap's got around Reardon. That could be the difference for second and third overall. As for Ezra Lusk, look at the fans cheering. The old man rode like a young kid tonight. I think he made the right move making a comeback here.
He did, and hopefully we'll see him at Anaheim come round 1, January 9th.
All right, there is Lusk, going to put it in the top 10 in 8th place. Meanwhile, Reardon runs it back in on Millsaps in the final corner. Millsaps holds Reardon off. That's going to put him in third behind Villopoto, second overall for the week. And Ezra Lusk, welcome back to Supercross. Unbelievable performance for the guy from Georgia.
It was.
James Stewart, meanwhile, is going to celebrate. He has won this event for the second straight year. He'll be partying like a rock star for sure. He's got a lot of money in his pocket, a lot of people supporting him down to the finish line area. We'll be back after this to talk to our champion.
Welcome back to the Rockstar Energy Drink U.S. Open. James Stewart has carved his name into the record books. He now joins Ricky Carmichael as the only man to win the U.S. Open 3 times. Stewart is the first rider since Chad Reed in 2003 and 2004 to win at the MGM in back-to-back seasons. The Rockstar overall results shows James Stewart on top. Honda riders Millsaps and Reardon kept Stewart honest for a second and third overall. Kawasaki's Ryan Villopoto shook off the rust and led early on night 2 before finishing in second place, 4th overall. But the night, the weekend, and the big check all go to San Manuel Yamaha's James Stewart. Let's go down to Erin on the podium.
2 nights in a row, James Stewart cleans house here in Las Vegas. James, only a limited amount of time on that bike. What does this do for your confidence going into the 2010 Supercross season?
Well, I mean, it does a lot. You know, just having a few weeks on the motorcycle, 2010 Yamaha, and coming out and debuting it like that. You know, I felt really good, and you know, really going to make improvements from here and there. And I just want to thank Samuel, Yamaha, you know, Red Bull, Answer Gear, Bell Helmets, Alpine Star, Nike, Oakley, Dunlop Tires the first time we raced those things, and it was good, so I can't be stoked.
A big check tonight, $100,000 richer. Is there going to be a little bit of celebration in store for this evening?
Nah, I'm buying smoothies. Smoothies for everybody, so we're going to go healthy. No spending no money, so it was a great time. Just I'm having a good time.
Something tells us you're not telling the truth. Go out there and have some fun. Enjoy your victory.
After 5 months off recovering from injury, Monster Energy Kawasaki's Ryan Villopoto shook off the rust and led Stewart for the first half of tonight's main. He's down on the podium with Erin.
Ryan Villopoto is bored to tears, sitting on the couch after mending from an injury back at the beginning of May. Ryan, what does this mean to you to come back strong and healthy, especially coming back early?
It means a lot. You know, last night didn't go very well. It, you know, had some problems, but came out tonight, got a great start, and, you know, led a few laps, and then, you know, James caught me. I bumped into him a little bit right here, and, you know, just had to put on a show for you guys. It's been a long time, and, you know, I'm just glad I, you know, was able to get up there and ride well.
Coming up next, it's the TIAA CREF College Football Today. Then it's the Home Depot SEC on CBS as the Arkansas Razorbacks take on the #1 Florida Gators. A dozen years have passed since Damon Huffman won that inaugural U.S. Open. The MGM Grand and the city of Las Vegas have offered a unique backdrop for the world's fastest motorcycle riders. While a lot has changed through the years, one thing seems to have stayed the same. James Stewart is still the fastest man on the planet. With 3 U.S. Open titles now under his belt, Stewart will start preparing for the start of the 2010 Supercross season as he begins his quest for back-to-back championships. Tune in December 26th at 2:30 p.m. as CBS Sports presents an hour-long preview of the upcoming Supercross season. Congratulations to Yamaha's James Stewart, the 2009 Rockstar Energy Drink U.S. Open champion.